Okay, so I'm giving this talk here in Pamplona, Spain. Pamplona, this cool tower or something. It's blocking the, I don't know, people are hanging out in the park here. It's a pretty cool scene. I'm laying down. You get the Spain in the background here. Too good there, but whatever. Okay, I want to start off with a roomy poem for whatever this talk may be. Flipping through my little travel roomie. Never leave home without a travel roomie book. Thankfulness, alertness. Giving thanks for abundance is sweeter than the abundance itself. Should one who is absorbed with the generous one be distracted by the gift? Thankfulness is the soul of beneficence. Abundance is but the husk. For thankfulness brings you to the place where the beloved lives. Abundance yields heedlessness. Thankfulness, alertness. Hunt for bounty with the snare of gratitude to the king. There's a lot to unpack on that one. Roomy, always great. I guess we should talk about abundance today and gratitude. I'm traveling right now and about to do the El Camino de Santiago in Spain and France, and I missed my bus to the start of the trip, but hopefully I can take another bus and make it there and start my trip. But I still feel abundant. A lot of people talk about your mindset and a poverty mindset or with social interactions. Because I'm in Spain and I have a much different experience than my friend. She traveled here and she's 25 and the city just opens up for her, it feels like, because she's young and beautiful and I'm kind of like an older dude, and it's not quite the same for me, just to be realistic. Being a guy, sometimes I feel invisible. I don't know if we're talking about abundance, but so maybe it's my own mindset of the opportunities that I feel like, not as many people interact with me. But I'm abundant in other ways, whereas I feel abundant in my gratitude towards where I am and being there, and I have a confidence in myself with just being alone, which is fine. But people only go out of their way to help me when I ask them directions, because I have no idea where I'm going. And my Spanish is pretty rusty. And then when I get directions, people are very helpful to me. So that's a good sign of abundance, I think. Whereas, but other things like that, aside from abundance, I sat next to this very pretty girl on the bus, and she must have been 19 or something. And I sit down, the first thing she does is put her headphones in. And I didn't talk to her, bother her, but it kind of made me feel not abundant in a way. It made me feel a little bit like scorned, I guess, or like that I can't have a conversation with somebody, and rightly so, she probably gets accosted all the time. But I had this dream last night where I could look at every single person deeply into their eyes, if it was like a baby or any other person, and just like see them for exactly what they are, and see them as a human soul before anything else, before lust or before comparison to fighting them, or resources, or smartness, intellect, social status. And I guess I felt that the strongest when I felt that with my old partner Hannah, where I could look at her and it was like very clear that it was a deep soul eye connection. And trying to make that happen with every single person you meet on the street is challenging. It's very intimate to even lock eyes with somebody. And I see this a little bit from, I'm walking down the street and I'll look at people, and it can be very intense to look at people and to see them, and you don't want to piss anyone off, but everyone has their own little world. How can you meet them as a soul? Just to go completely Ram Dass on things, as I always do. Because we are abundant in our soul. Maybe I'm saying that in some phony, hippie bullshit way, but when you talk to people that find abundance in their life, it's not from money, right? People think that people have a lot of money and are happy. They're not happy. A lot of people that have money are not happy. If you have everything given to you, it's like, what do you do after that? You know, when you get all the cheat codes to the video game is not fun anymore. And then you have to really confront a different set of issues, which changes how people will treat you and talk to you. And I met plenty of rich people that are just miserable. They get all this money and they're absolutely soul crushed because, you know, like one of my friends, he got a bunch of money, and then 2 weeks later his wife divorced him and took half the money and the kids, and you try to fill your happiness with things and making pizza parties for people and filling up space and time, and then you have this hollowness that comes through that. So when you think about money, it's great to have a certain amount of abundance of money, but I don't think that's the whole key to living an abundant life. I think abundance comes down to being thankful for where you are and what you have. Because you could take two people with the same amount of money. Someone has $500 and another person has $500, and one of them will think, how abundant am I with this $500? Another person will think, how scared am I that I have $500? What am I going to do with this money to make it last and do this? And the other person says, I have so much money to spend and to enjoy. And every person has to cultivate abundance for themselves and define what that means. There's no catch-all for it. I think there is certain amounts of money that, I think 70 grand a year, where people have been statistically shown to live happy lives, and more money doesn't make you more happy if you are on the traditional path. And I've met some people with absolutely no money and they are extremely happy. So it comes back to how we define ourselves and the people we relate with around us. When you look in another person's eyes and you see it, and you really truly connect with them, it's this soul abundance of back and forth connection. I often think that, like, if all of these bodhisattva Buddhas actually do their job right, then it's just going to be a bunch of Buddhas, like, staring each other's eyes, reflecting back everything, like, in infinity of just willfulness. Which would be a pretty amazing thing to see. but it's hurts my rational mind to think of like, well, what's happening? What's really going on? What is that the end goal? If everyone truly wakes up and there's no one left to save, then what happens at that point? I don't know actually about that. That's a very interesting spot dharmically to be at. I think people are going to confront more and more abundance in their lives as things get cheaper with robots and intelligence gets cheaper with AI. I hope that abundance happens, but I think that the wealth gap is probably only going to widen even further. Sometimes I feel abundant when I'm traveling, and sometimes I feel lonely, and I feel like lost. I guess I could feel abundance while being lost. I guess traveling is being lost, and I'm trying to like do it with less help from iPhones and apps and stuff, but it's very different. It's very challenging. I miss the bus even with doing that. And maybe it takes a state of like complete surrender to where the next path is going to be, and not even knowing what city I'm going to stay in the next night, and kind of just completely chilling on the next goal. That'd be an interesting strategy, as well as like not even knowing the next day where I'm going to be. But that it can be exhausting to do that as well. Struggling to find more things I can add with abundance, or this cage that I've put myself into with this title. I don't feel very abundant in my word selection and ideas and concepts to bring across. That's okay. My goal is not to impress anybody. It's to speak freely and to have a flow of consciousness, ideas. Mainly for my own record, if anyone ever watches this, which probably no one will. But that's okay. Because it makes me feel better. Got some nice clouds, some nice rain. A little bit of rain. Looks like it's coming in. And I feel pretty abundant right now. I really do. There's struggles in my life, obviously, of relationships and work. But for right now, I feel pretty good, and I feel like I'm ready to hit the trail, the walking trail. So yeah, I think we could chill for the day on that, and squeezed a little bit of wisdom out where we could. Feels like we're still making a little progress towards whatever might happen. I haven't slept too much. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night, so yeah, we'll see what happens tonight. Hopefully I'll get something. Aloha. Meow.